Ever felt like a fraud even when you're well qualified and successful? You're not alone in this. Welcome to the world of imposter syndrome, a term that might sound like it's straight out of a psychological thriller, but is actually a reality for many. It's a psychological pattern where individuals doubt their accomplishments and constantly fear being exposed as a fraud. They often feel they don't belong or don't deserve their success, attributing it to luck or timing rather than their own abilities or hard work. Now you might be thinking, wait, is this a recognized mental disorder? Well, not exactly. While it's not officially recognized in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, it's still widely acknowledged in the field of psychology. It's more of a phenomenon or an experience rather than a disorder. Imposter syndrome was first identified in the late 1970s by psychologists Pauline Rose Clance and Suzanne Imes. They initially observed it in high-achieving women, but later research has shown that it affects both men and women in virtually any aspect of life. Whether you're a student who just aced a test, a professional who just landed a promotion, or an artist who just created a masterpiece, anyone can experience imposter syndrome. You see, it's not about your actual capabilities or achievements, it's about how you perceive them. So even if you're doing well by any objective standard, you might still feel like you're just fooling everyone around you. It's like being stuck in a loop of self-doubt, where your success fuels your fear of being found out, which in turn fuels your sense of being an imposter. The irony is, imposter syndrome often affects the most competent and capable among us. Those who push themselves to achieve more, to be more, are often the ones who feel like they're just pretending. So, you see, if you've ever felt like an imposter, know that it's a more common experience than you might think. Now that we know what imposter syndrome is, you might be wondering, how does it affect people? Imposter syndrome, like an unseen puppet master, can pull the strings of our lives in unexpected ways. It can trigger stress and anxiety, as the fear of being exposed as a fraud becomes a constant companion. This fear is often accompanied by a nagging voice in your head that whispers, "You're not good enough," and soon everyone will know. This syndrome can also lead to low self-confidence. Despite their achievements and capabilities, individuals with imposter syndrome tend to attribute their success to luck or external factors rather than their own skills or efforts. They may believe that they've merely fooled others into thinking they're competent. This self-doubt can hinder them from taking on new challenges or pursuing opportunities, thereby limiting their growth and potential. Then there's the fear of failure. It's a common human experience, but for those grappling with imposter syndrome, it can become an all-consuming dread. This fear can lead to excessive perfectionism, where one might spend hours polishing a task that's already well done, or it might result in procrastination, where the fear of producing subpar work leads to avoidance altogether. Imposter syndrome can also drive individuals to overwork, as they try to compensate for their perceived lack of abilities. They might work late into the night, skip meals, or sacrifice leisure time, all in a bid to prove their worth. This not only takes a toll on their physical health, but it can strain personal and professional relationships as well. Moreover, the chronic stress and anxiety associated with imposter syndrome can negatively impact mental health and overall well-being. It can lead to burnout, depression, and even physical ailments like headaches and sleep disorders. Imposter syndrome can be quite debilitating, but acknowledging it is the first step towards overcoming it. Remember, it's not about being perfect or knowing everything, but about embracing the journey of learning and growth. And most importantly, realizing that you're not alone in this. Many of us struggle with these feelings, and it's okay to reach out for help. So, you've identified with imposter syndrome and its effects. The question now is, how do you overcome it? Firstly, it's important to recognize and reframe your thoughts. When that little voice in your head starts whispering, "You're not good enough," or "They're going to find out you're a fraud," stop. Recognize this as the voice of imposter syndrome, not the voice of truth. Then consciously reframe these thoughts. Instead of, "I'm not good enough," tell yourself, "I am capable and I am learning." Secondly, seek support from mentors or therapists. These individuals can provide you with a different perspective and help you see your worth and capabilities more clearly. They can guide you through your self-doubt and help you develop strategies to tackle imposter syndrome. Remember, it's okay to ask for help. You don't have to face this alone. Next, celebrate your achievements, no matter how small they may seem. Did you finish a challenging project? Great, celebrate it. Did you speak up in a meeting? Fantastic, acknowledge it. Celebrating your achievements helps you to internalize your successes and reduces the feeling of being an imposter. Finally, practice self-compassion. Be kind to yourself. Remember that everyone makes mistakes and has room to grow. Instead of berating yourself for what you don't know or can't do, remind yourself of how far you've come and all the things you've accomplished. Imposter syndrome can be a tough adversary, but with the right strategies, you can overcome it. You are not an imposter, you are a human being who is constantly learning and growing. Each of these strategies takes time and practice. Overcoming imposter syndrome isn't about flipping a switch and suddenly feeling confident. It's about gradually changing your thought patterns and behaviors, about learning to trust in your abilities and worth. Remember, overcoming imposter syndrome is not a one-time event, but a continuous process of self-improvement. Let's quickly recap what we've learned about imposter syndrome. It's that nagging feeling of self-doubt, an inner voice telling you that you're a fraud despite evidence to the contrary. It's a psychological pattern that can affect anyone, regardless of their success or achievements, making them feel as though they don't deserve their accomplishments. Imposter syndrome can have a significant impact on individuals, causing stress, anxiety, low self-confidence, and even depression. It can hold you back from seizing opportunities, hinder your performance, and prevent you from reaching your full potential. But remember, it's a common experience, and there are effective strategies to deal with it. Recognizing and acknowledging these feelings is the first step. Talking about it with others can help too. And remember to celebrate your achievements no matter how small they seem. With awareness, understanding, and some practical steps, you can start to overcome imposter syndrome and embrace your accomplishments.